All right, let's just rip the Band-Aid off here. Why does talking about money in relationships so often feel like, walking through a minefield?
hmm
It's not just about the numbers on a spreadsheet, is it? It feels like it's about something far deeper. Our values, our deepest fears, our wildest dreams, maybe even our fundamental sense of security.
Exactly.
And it can lead to those really awkward silences
Yeah.
or that quiet resentment building up or sometimes, even explosive arguments,
Yeah.
right? Even in really strong relationships.
It's so true. Money fundamentally isn't just about cash flow. It's more like an emotional current that
Hmm.
runs through, well, pretty much everything we do as a couple.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. This deep dive today, it isn't your typical financial planning session. Not at all.
Right.
Our mission today is to really understand the art of discussing money as a couple. We're going to explore the emotional, the psychological, and the relational foundations that allow you, the listener, to talk finances openly and honestly. The goal is transforming that potential conflict into profound connection. Think of it maybe as a guide to making your money conversations not just effective, but genuinely relationship building.
Okay, let's dig into this then, because the first often unseen hurdle seems to be this unseen burden, like our emotions really slam into these money talks.
Mm-hmm.
We all know money discussions can trigger some pretty big emotions,
Yeah.
but what happens when we try to just, I don't know, ignore them, shove them down?
Right. What happens then? Well, what's fascinating here is that while it's not a formal diagnosis, there's this concept sometimes called anemotophobia, which is basically a profound fear of feeling your own emotions.
Wow, okay.
And when we suppress these feelings, especially around something as, let's face it, loaded as money, it's not just a passing discomfort. Some experts suggest that, and this is powerful, suppressed emotions stay in the body and begin to create disease. And that's not just a metaphor. It can actually show up as real long-term issues, things like chronic depression, anxiety, even physical problems like IBS or a compromised immune system. Imagine carrying the weight of unspoken financial fear, like literally in your body.
That's incredibly impactful. So if we're trying to navigate this, what are some telltale signs that maybe we, or perhaps our partner, might be caught in this kind of trap, this emotional avoidance when money comes up?
Well, you might notice things like a generally pessimistic outlook around finances specifically, or maybe a very clear pattern of avoiding any financial discussions, or even joint activities like, say, budgeting together. It could also show up as irritability or maybe trouble sleeping around the times you discuss money, or even sudden, seemingly out of nowhere outbursts, anger, or tears either during or right after a money talk. And sometimes, in an attempt to numb or escape those really intense feelings, people might even turn to addictive behaviors. That could be anything from overspending itself to excessive gaming or even substance abuse. It's all potentially a way to sort of self-medicate and avoid facing those underlying money emotions.
That makes a lot of sense, sadly. And these fears, they don't just appear out of thin air, do they? Are they always about the immediate situation, or can the roots go, like, much, much deeper?
Oh, often they go profoundly deep, rooted in past experiences. We're not just talking about today's credit card bill here.
Right.
It could stem from past traumas, maybe physical, emotional, or even spiritual abuse, or severe accidents, the profound loss of loved ones, or maybe more subtly from childhood experiences where simply expressing emotions, especially around money stress, was shamed or punished. Think about a child who was maybe scared or sad about the family's financial struggles, but they were met with anger or just dismissed instead of getting comfort. They learned pretty quickly, okay, expressing these feelings isn't safe. So an unresolved past trauma, especially, can make someone absolutely terrified to re-experience similar emotions when a current money issue pops up. It can make them just shut down completely.
So it sounds almost counterintuitive, but instead of running away from these feelings, you're suggesting we actually need to engage with them, especially when they surface around money.
Precisely. And this raises a really important question. What if we viewed these emotions not as, irrational obstacles, but as incredibly valuable information?
Interesting.
Yeah. Imagine your fear, especially that knot in your stomach when you look at the budget. Imagine it's like a scared 5-year-old nephew. You wouldn't just walk past and ignore them, right?
Of course not.
You'd slow down, you'd pause, acknowledge them, listen. And by doing that with your own emotions, you can begin to sort of befriend your fear.
Befriend your fear. I like that.
It allows you to extract its wisdom, really understand its root cause. Maybe your anxiety about spending isn't just about this purchase. Maybe it's tapping into a deep-seated childhood fear of scarcity, like you mentioned.
Right.
Understanding that difference, that's the deep dive. It transforms something that feels overwhelming into a powerful source of insight for your relationship.
That is a really powerful shift in perspective. And that kind of deep self-understanding, it really feels like the foundation, the bedrock for our next crucial point, the foundation of trust, honesty, and vulnerability in financial conversations. Because without that, everything else is just surface stuff, right?
It really is. Honest communication is the absolute cornerstone of any healthy, thriving relationship, full stop. It's what builds trust, it fosters true intimacy, and it allows you to understand each other deeply so you can navigate both the challenges and, the triumphs together. It really means expressing your true thoughts, your genuine feelings, and your needs transparently. Without that crippling fear of judgment or rejection, and this is vital not just for your bank balance, but really for the soul of your relationship.
And to be truly honest, we have to be vulnerable. Now, that's a word that makes a lot of people pretty uncomfortable, especially when you attach it to money. What's the hardest part for couples when it comes to being vulnerable about finances? And maybe, how can they take that scary first step?
That's a great question because vulnerability by definition involves uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure.
Right.
It's about being willing to embrace your imperfections and actually show them, which, many people see as a weakness. But in the context of money talks in a relationship, it's actually a profound strength.
Yeah.
It builds deep connection.
Yeah, so.
Well, the hardest part is often admitting something that feels like a failure or a secret shame. Maybe it's hidden debt you brought into the relationship, or admitting you secretly carry guilt about a past financial mistake. Or maybe it's just confessing a fear that a new joint purchase feels like it might mean sacrificing your personal financial independence.
Yeah, those are tough.
They are. But when partners realize they actually share similar financial anxieties, or maybe they've gone through comparable experiences, that shared vulnerability can forge this almost unbreakable bond. It's about taking that first, maybe small step to share something genuinely true, even if your voice shakes a little doing it.
So what are the tangible benefits then? What do couples actually gain from wading into those potentially uncomfortable but honest and vulnerable financial talks?
Oh, the benefits are enormous. First, it powerfully builds trust, creates that sense of safety, reliability, making real emotional intimacy possible. Second, it enhances understanding. You truly gain insight into each other's unique financial perspectives, their motivations, their desires, and that drastically reduces misunderstandings down the line.
Less fighting about assumptions.
Exactly. And third, it facilitates conflict resolution. It helps you pinpoint the real root causes of financial disagreements so you can work collaboratively towards solutions instead of just, bickering about the numbers again and again.
And I imagine it spills over into personal growth and maybe even reducing day-to-day anxiety.
Absolutely. Honest communication like this encourages personal growth. You gain clarity about your own financial needs and desires, which leads to greater self-awareness. And critically, yes, it strengthens emotional connection and reduces anxiety because those unspoken concerns, those little resentments that fester, they're finally brought into the light. And finally, it promotes healthy boundaries. It allows you to clearly communicate financial limits and expectations without resorting to passive aggression or just hoping they read your mind.
That's a really comprehensive list. But there's a vital nuance here, isn't there? It's about authenticity, not performance. You're not just performing vulnerability for effect.
Oh, crucially. Yeah. Vulnerability isn't about oversharing just to get attention or some kind of self-marketing tactic designed to manipulate your partner. Not at all.
Right.
It requires genuine intention and actually clear boundaries, too. The goal is to share personal financial stories or fears to truly connect on a deeper level. The idea is to create what psychologists sometimes call a corrective emotional experience.
Okay, what's that?
It means that when you express a financial anxiety, maybe your fear about how a new budget might impact your personal spending, and your partner responds with empathy and understanding, not judgment, that experience fundamentally changes your ingrained belief that expressing such feelings is dangerous or will lead to criticism. It shows you, okay, this space with this person is safe for these feelings.
Okay, so we get the emotional landscape, the need for honesty, for vulnerability. But how do we actually do this effectively? Especially when the topic of money can be so charged. This brings us to mastering the art, active listening and nonverbal communication. It's definitely more than just hearing words, isn't it?
Oh, it's far more than just hearing, or even just waiting politely for your turn to speak. Active listening, especially in financial matters, means truly processing what's being said. Seeking to understand the underlying meaning, the intent behind your partner's words, particularly when they're talking about something stressful like debt or, future plans.
Right.
It's about being a really mindful and focused participant, not just mentally balancing the checkbook in your head while they're talking.
Okay. Then our sources gave us, I think, 7 techniques for mastering this, especially for those really high-stakes financial conversations. Where should we start?
Okay, number 1, be fully present. It sounds so obvious, right? But when you're talking money, really put away your phones, ignore the TV, the notifications, and actively try to shut down that internal dialogue where you're already planning your rebuttal.
Guilty as charged sometimes.
We all are. But you need to give your full, undivided attention to your partner. That itself signals that what they're saying, no matter how difficult it might be, is important to you.
Okay, makes sense. Then there's paying attention to nonverbal cues. This is fascinating because, wow, so much of what we communicate isn't even spoken.
It's huge. Some studies say up to 65% of communication is unspoken. Think about it. If your partner talks really fast when mentioning debt, they might be nervous.
Right.
If they fold their arms tightly or avoid eye contact when you bring up the budget, it might signal deep discomfort, maybe even feeling trapped. And remember your own nonverbal behavior, too. Try to use open body language. Uncross your arms. Maybe offer a gentle smile if appropriate. Lean in slightly. Nod at key points. It sends this powerful message of, I'm receptive, I'm listening. It helps create a physically safer space for a tough talk.
And eye contact is a big part of creating that space, isn't it?
It's vital, yeah, but it's a balance. There's this thing called the 50-70 rule, basically. Aim to maintain eye contact for about 50% to 70% of the time you're listening. Hold it for maybe 4 or 5 seconds, then look away naturally for a moment.
Okay.
This shows you're engaged, but without being, overly intense or staring them down, which can feel really aggressive, especially when discussing sensitive money stuff.
Right. Avoid the stare down. Now, I think we've all fallen into the trap of asking those yes or no questions that just kill a conversation. So asking open-ended questions sounds like a real game changer here.
It truly is. Instead of, say, did you pay that bill? Which is just a transactional query, right?
Yeah.
Try something more like, can you tell me a bit more about how you're feeling about our monthly expenses lately? Or maybe, what do you think is the best path forward for our savings goal?
I see.
This signals genuine interest in their perspective, their feelings, their ideas. It encourages thoughtful, expansive responses, not just data points.
And once they've shared that, you need to reflect what you hear, make sure you got it right.
Correct. Paraphrase what they said. This does 2 things. It ensures accuracy, that you actually understood them correctly, and, crucially, it validates their feelings.
How would that sound?
For example, you might say, okay, so what I'm hearing is that you're feeling really frustrated about the situation with our credit card debt. Or, so in other words, what you're saying is that you're worried about our retirement plan, and that feels kind of overwhelming right now.
Got it.
This avoids misunderstandings, and honestly, it makes your partner feel truly heard. It creates this positive feedback loop of understanding.
Okay, the next 2 feel absolutely critical, especially with money. Being patient and withholding judgment. It's so tempting to jump in or to judge past decisions.
Well, they're foundational.
Yeah.
Absolutely foundational for creating that safe space we talked about. Be patient. Allow your partner to speak without interruption, even if there are, uncomfortable silences. Let them finish their thought.
Resist the urge to fill the silence.
Exactly. And don't prepare your reply while they're still speaking. Listen to understand, truly understand, not just to formulate your response. And by withholding judgment, you create that sanctuary, that place where your partner won't feel shamed or criticized or blamed for their financial thoughts or even past actions. This means actively expressing empathy for their situation, even if you privately disagree with a decision they made years ago.
Wow. So it really hammers home that communication isn't just about the words we choose. The unspoken signals carry so much weight. It's like trying to read a whole other language sometimes.
Exactly right. And beyond just body language, think about vocal elements, tone of voice, pitch, speed that accounts for a massive chunk, maybe 38% of the message. A confident posture might convey trust in a financial decision you're making together. Conversely, imagine a tight smile paired with crossed arms when you're talking about a budget. That sends incredibly mixed signals, doesn't it?
Totally confusing.
We need to be acutely aware of these subtle but really powerful signals, both in ourselves and in our partner.
So how do we get better at reading the room, or maybe more specifically, reading our partner during these often tense financial discussions?
Well, one thing is to look for clusters of nonverbal cues, not just one isolated gesture. For instance, crossed arms combined with maybe a furrowed brow and a stiff tone of voice when discussing investment decisions. That likely indicates real tension, not just that they're feeling cold.
Okay, look for patterns.
Yes, and also pay attention to deviations from their baseline behavior. If your partner usually has a pretty relaxed posture, but during money talks they start fidgeting or avoiding eye contact more than usual, that might signal underlying anxiety or discomfort they aren't voicing.
Little changes.
Even fleeting microexpressions like a quick tightening of the lips can reveal suppressed anger or concern about money that they're not ready or able to articulate yet. These small cues are often your partner's unspoken signals, maybe cries for help, or hints at deeper worries.
Okay, so we've covered managing those big emotions, the importance of being honest and vulnerable, and really mastering these communication techniques, both verbal and nonverbal. But where does all this lead? It seems like it's ultimately about building a deeper connection, love, support, and compatibility. Because money issues, they really test the very fabric of a relationship, don't they? They often reveal foundational strengths or maybe weaknesses.
They absolutely do. Robert Sternberg's triangular theory of love is really relevant here. He highlights 3 crucial components for love: intimacy, passion, and commitment. And a relationship that's based on only one of those elements, it's far less likely to survive long term. Consummate love, which is the ideal, combines all 3: intimacy, passion, and commitment.
The trifecta.
Exactly. But here's the crucial part. It requires continuous effort and, importantly, expression. Sternberg himself warned, without expression, even the greatest of loves can die.
Wow.
And think about how financial stress impacts this. It can totally erode intimacy by creating secrets or distance. It can kill passion through constant arguments and resentment. And it can undermine commitment when one partner feels unheard or unsupported financially. It really shows up across all 3 areas.
And money is consistently ranked as one of those top 3 issues that couples fight about, right?
Yeah.
Right up there with sex and kids. So discussing money matters openly and honestly before getting seriously committed sounds, well, almost non-negotiable.
I'd argue it is non-negotiable. It reveals crucial compatibility or incompatibility. Think about it. How much debt is acceptable to each of you? How often do you think it's okay to buy a new car? Should you pay off debt aggressively or prioritize saving for a house down payment?
Yeah, big questions.
These aren't small details. If one person gets anxiety attacks just thinking about debt while the other is perfectly comfortable carrying a significant credit card balance, that's a fundamental misalignment. Compromise becomes absolutely necessary. And that often means neither person gets exactly what they want, but hopefully you both move part of the way there together.
Right.
It's a fundamental test of how well you can navigate shared life decisions, and it really reveals how your core values truly align or don't.
And how do simple, loving words fit into these complex, sometimes really difficult financial discussions? It almost seems too simple.
They're anything but simple. They're like the vital scaffolding that holds everything together. Simple expressions like, I love you, or I miss you, or even just, hey, you're doing great, might seem totally unrelated to a budget meeting, right?
Yeah. But they create this background warmth and ease in the relationship's overall emotional climate. And even during tough financial conversations, sharing loving words, appreciating the effort someone's making, or acknowledging a shared goal, saying something like, look, I really appreciate your honesty about this budget, even though I know this is tough, or, hey, we're a team in this and we'll figure it out together, that deeply builds trust. It transforms the hard work from feeling like a chore into feeling like an act of love and partnership. These are the softeners that make hard conversations even possible.
That's a lovely way to put it. So looking at the bigger picture then, what are some other hallmarks of healthy financial communication that we should all be striving for in our relationships?
Okay, well, first, it needs to be clear and honest. Don't bottle up financial needs or concerns until you explode. You need to ask for what you need directly, but also calmly.
Second, aim for calm discussion. Avoid blaming. Avoid dredging up past financial arguments that never helps. If you feel yourself getting agitated, take a break. It's okay to say, you know what, I'm feeling too angry to talk about this constructively right now, but I promise I will come back in an hour and we can discuss this more calmly.
And then actually do it.
And then critically actually follow through on coming back. That follow through itself builds immense trust.
Okay, that's crucial. Taking that break, but committing to return.
Yeah.
What about the language we use during the discussion itself?
Yes, absolutely. Use I statements instead of launching in with, you always overspend, which is
Yeah.
immediately accusatory and puts them on the defensive.
Walls go up.
Exactly. Try something like, I feel anxious when we don't track our expenses closely together. See the difference. It focuses on your feeling and invites collaboration, not blame. And you also need to be genuinely ready to compromise on financial decisions. Understand that both partners' needs matter and need to be met, at least partially, even if neither of you gets exactly what you initially wanted. It's not about winning the argument. It's about finding a shared path forward that works for both of you.
What about acceptance and support throughout this whole, sometimes messy financial journey together?
That's huge. Accept your partner for who they are financially, within healthy limits, of course, and support them through challenges. Forgive mistakes. Financial mistakes happen. No one is perfect. I've seen so many couples where lingering resentment over one past financial misstep just poisons all future conversations about money. It's crippling.
Holding on to it.
Yes. And critically, if you commit to a financial plan together, follow through. Do what you said you were going to do. This builds reliability and shows you genuinely value their trust and the agreement you made. And finally, remember independence. Your partner isn't solely responsible for your financial happiness or security. Step up, own your part, but also be willing to ask for their support when you genuinely need it. You're a team, absolutely, but you're also individuals within that team.
This has been such an incredibly insightful deep dive. It really, really highlights how money matters are just so much more intricate and deeply personal than just, numbers in a ledger when it comes to a relationship.
It truly is, isn't it? Navigating finances as a couple, it's far more than just balancing a checkbook, as you said. It's really a profound journey. It requires emotional courage, skillful communication, and honestly, continuously deepening love and understanding. By truly understanding and addressing those emotional responses to money, by committing to honest and vulnerable sharing, and by practicing that active, non-judgmental listening, really paying attention to the nonverbal cues too, you can transform that potential conflict into an amazing opportunity for unparalleled intimacy and connection. It's really about building a shared financial narrative that actually reinforces your love story rather than detracts from it.
That's beautifully put. So as you, our listener, go about your week and maybe consider this, if you truly approached your financial conversations not as these heavy burdens or awkward tasks, but as maybe sacred opportunities to practice vulnerability, build deeper trust, and actively nurture that consummate love with your partner, what extraordinary growth and connection might become possible for you both? What small, maybe brave financial conversation will you try to approach differently this week?